Hello everybody, this is Herb Halstead from Jackson Graphics and Big Twin Life, and today we're going to talk about PressCalc. And before we get into that, I did want to introduce you to something else that we did, is we acquired the domain decocalc.com, and that way there's a central place where you can find all three of our apparel decoration calculators. Back to the topic at hand. So we introduced PressCalc. And the reason we did that is because we have been doing screen printing for a while, but we decided that we were going to really go full force in it, invest some money in it, invest into some equipment in particular to up our game as much as we could in a lot of things related to screen printing. And in doing so, we also decided that we need to get as good a handle on our costs for pressing shirts on a screen press as we were, as good at that as we were with the DTF and the embroidery. So in doing that, we had developed a spreadsheet. This is how we started all these things off. We started a spreadsheet where we studied what it was costing us, how much time it was taking us, all the different things involved in screen printing. We got a good handle on what it was costing us and how we could calculate that cost, and so we developed a PressCalc first as a spreadsheet, and then we developed it into an app very similar to our embroidery calculator and our DTF shirt calc. So let's go ahead and bring that up and look at it. Okay, so if you've used our shirt calc in particular, this looks very similar. Let me see if I can change the way. Yeah. Okay. So it looks very similar. We have this job data tab where we enter all of the pertinent information that is a per job thing that changes per job, etc., etc. And then we have the pricing table that shows you the calculation of that process. And then we have the back-end shop data. And this is something we employ on all of our calculators. And essentially, we're trying to eliminate the changing things from the things that don't change, or don't change very often. And we call those things that don't change very often, we call those shop rates. And things like your standard setup fee, how many shirts do you have to press before you decline that fee or eliminate that fee, or give them a rebate or whatever. How much you are upcharging your labor. How much are you, is it a percent or dollar amount? How much are you marking up your material? How long does it take you to load a shirt? How long does it take you to swipe a color? What's your packaging cost? What's your time to package? How long do you flash? What's your dryer time per garment? How many blanks are rolling through at that same time that that shirt has to go through that cycle. How long does it take you to warm up the dryer? What's your utility rate? How long does it take you to develop a screen? How long does it take you to clean a screen? What are your chemical costs? What are your screen registration time? What's your rush order charge? And your tax rate. So those things are things that don't usually change. They're things that are your shop standards. And so you go ahead and set those things, and you really forget about them. Once you get all those things set up in that shop rates tab, then when someone calls in and says they have a job, the first thing you're going to do is find out what, they usually tell you what they want. They send you an image or whatever, and maybe it's a 3-color design, so you're going to add 3 screens, and maybe it's on a black shirt, so you're going to have a flash for the underbase. Maybe the back is just a neck tag or something, but still going to have to require a screen, and you don't have to do any flashing for that one. Maybe have a sleeve hit or right sleeve, whatever. You set those things up in here. And then maybe they give you a run of sizes, and so you've got youth sizes through adult sizes, and you can put in the cost of your blank. And here's this cool thing, like if, like I'll go ahead and bring one up. This is our Bella Canvas 3000 default job setting. And basically what we've done is we've gone in and put all the pricing in for those sizes, and these are not the discounted sale prices you sometimes see. These are the base cost, and that's how we choose to put them in there. And that way, if there's a sale or not, it doesn't really affect us. In general, we know what the base cost is, and we'll check those periodically too. But at any rate, you can put in how many of those. Say I had, let's just say it was like a 5. Say it was a 5, 10, 15, 10. Okay. So let's just say we have a 50 shirt job here, okay, and it goes and multiplies all those things and tells you what your total blank cost, so that you kind of get in your head what your minimum material cost is. Let's add 5 more here. Okay, so that gives you your material cost. This is a 55 shirt project, and this is your material cost. Real easy. Then once you come down further, you have some other things, like since this is over $200, you're not going to have any shipping, so you can just leave that blank. You're not going to ship to customers, a local person. It's not a rush order. It's not tax exempt, and you're not going to waive your setup fee, but you don't have to worry about it. It's going to automatically waive it because you set your shop rate at 12 shirts, waives the fee. So that's all you have to do for entering your job data. Real easy. You can actually do this while someone's got you on the phone asking you what they want. And then all you got to do is just hit this tab, this pricing tab. You don't have to do anything else. It automatically figures out what this thing costs. And so it gives you on this invoice table at the top, it tells you your per piece price is $12.64 at 55 shirts. It gives you your size matrix, how many print locations. It gives you the cost for those. It gives you the setup fee, the shipping cost, and the rush fee. If there's none, it just leaves it to 0. Calculates your tax, and it gives you the base price that you send your customer. Now, if you're the kind of person who wants to dig in, you go down to the calculated values, and you can see some of the individual numbers that are represented by that. For instance, this job, at the way we've got those shop rates set up for this sample, it's going to take 1.4 hours to do those 55 shirts complete. That's from start to finish. Warm up the oven to pulling them off. That's an ideal time or whatever. That's the press time. This is the total labor time in hours. So this is the time after press, and that calculates it for how long the shirts are coming back out, what your cleanup time and all that stuff is. So your prep time is your pre-time, your post time is a cleanup time, etc. Your press time, and then it totals it. So you can look. This is a 2.6 hour job from start to finish, and this is my total labor cost based on my markup, and then you could look at all the other things, and it gives you the total price. So you can check kind of what the individual costs are that are involved in this, calculating this number, the $12.64 for 55 shirts. So then if you want, you can download a PNG. So there's the PNG. It basically outputs that table, or you can copy it to the clipboard and paste it in an email. Very simple, kind of thing. So that's it basically. Now you've got the other thing where you can go to my account and you can change your stuff if you want. I will be changing this to this video once it's published. If you pay for the subscription, then you get the ability to save to new jobs. So you can have a job manager so you can save some of the presets. If you don't, then you're going to have this default job that always pops up, and every time you change it, it's going to change that. But if you, like I said, you have the subscription, you have the ability to manage those jobs. And also, you don't have to have the nagging advertising, which we don't have a lot. I mean, it's really just showing off some of the stuff that we do. But anyway, there it is. Very simple. PressCalc. Very easy way to be consistent in your pricing for your screen printing. And the biggest thing that you've got to do is you have to remember that these shop rates are all going to depend on how you operate in your shop. And when you put in your registration time and your screen chem time, your screen chem costs, your cleanup time and all that, those things, those values are applied back to the job data. Like when you tell it you have 2 screens, it's going to calculate how long it takes you to register and clean 2 screens. If you had 6 screens, it would multiply that by that. So it all goes back to the things you put in your job file, but being able to set up those times and those costs in your setup file makes it real easy to then do consistent job costing that you can give to your customer. This is not going to work 100% for every shop. I get that. Every shop is so different. But just gleaning off of how most people operate, I think that this will be a handy tool for most people who just want to get pricing out, And, the other thing too is this can help you figure out how to set up a cost matrix. Because some people, they rather just have a number on the board and, there's a matrix of colors versus quantities, and they can price all that out on a table that they can publish to the customer and all that. This will actually help you do that. You can set, for instance, your blank cost to 0 and still put your blank count in there, your screen count and all that stuff, and it will still calculate what you're spending and what you should be charging for those things in the matrix. So you can go do a whole run of one color with maybe increments of 10 or increments of 25 or whatever in your table, and then you go to 2 color and do the same thing and go on and down and figure those out in here in the software and then put them into your matrix. So that's one way you can use it if you'd rather have a matrix, just kind of as a check to make sure that your matrix makes sense, based on what it takes you to do a job. And it also kind of breaks down what your markup is versus what your actual cost is in that calculation thing, so you kind of also get an idea of how much you might discount quantities, if you even offer a discount for quantities. This is PressCalc by Jackson Graphics and Big Twin Life. My name is Herb. Thanks for watching.